Out of all the things you've got to keep an eye on with your car, swapping out the engine air filter is one of the big ones. When that filter gets dirty, it messes with how your car runs and can make driving feel sluggish. Plus, you'll end up burning more fuel than you should, which means more trips to the pump and more money out of your pocket. The good news? Changing the air filter is usually quick, easy, and cheap. Let's walk through the signs that tell you it's time for a new one, and what kind of cost you're looking at. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Power loss. When your air filter gets clogged up with dirt, it chokes off the airflow to the engine. And when the engine can't breathe right, it won't perform like it should. You'll feel it. Less power when you hit the gas, slower acceleration, and just an overall sluggish ride. It's especially noticeable when you're asking more from the car, like pulling a trailer or climbing a steep hill. But even during regular driving, if the car feels like it's dragging its feet, it's a good idea to pop the hood and take a look at that air filter. If it's dirty, it's time for a change. Engine misfiring. When the engine isn't getting enough air, the fuel doesn't burn like it should. That leftover fuel turns into soot, and it starts gunking up the spark plugs. Once those plugs get dirty, they can't fire off properly, and that's when the engine starts misfiring. You might feel the car shaking at idle, or it might even stall out on you. It's like the engine's trying to run with a bad cough. Rough, uneven, and not happy. Check engine light. When the air filter's all clogged up, the engine isn't getting the air it needs. That throws off the mix, and the engine ends up burning too much fuel. All that extra fuel leads to carbon buildup, and before you know it, the check engine light pops on. When that light shows up, it's your car's way of saying something's off. You can plug in a code scanner to figure out what's going on, but don't be surprised if the air filter's the culprit. Gas smell. Sometimes, when the air filter's real dirty, you might catch a whiff of gasoline. That's from fuel not burning all the way and hanging around where it shouldn't. The worse the filter gets, the stronger that smell can be. But here's the thing, gas smells can come from a bunch of different problems, not just the air filter. So, before jumping to conclusions, it's smart to give the car a full checkup and figure out exactly what's going on. Strange engine sounds. When your engine's running smooth, it should sound like a steady hum. Nothing fancy, just that familiar purr. But if the air filter's clogged up, the engine starts struggling to breathe, and that's when things get noisy. You might hear sputtering, popping, or even a whistling sound coming from under the hood. That's the engine fighting against restricted airflow. And the dirtier that filter gets, the louder those weird sounds tend to be. Reduced fuel economy. Your engine needs a good mix of air and fuel to run right. But when the air filter's clogged, the engine ends up getting too much fuel and not enough air. That's what we call running rich, and it means your car starts guzzling gas more than it should. If you notice you're filling up the tank more often, that's a red flag. It's a sign something's off with the engine's balance. Catch it early, and you can fix the problem before it turns into a bigger headache. Black exhaust smoke. If things get real bad, you might start seeing black or dark gray smoke coming out of the tailpipe. That's a sign the engine isn't burning fuel properly. Too much leftover fuel is getting pushed out with the exhaust. That kind of smoke usually means the air filter's clogged, but it could also point to other problems, like a faulty fuel injector or a bad oxygen sensor. Either way, it's worth checking out before it turns into something serious. Visible contamination. If you take a look at the air filter, you'll know pretty quick if it's time for a change. A clean one's usually white or light-colored, and some reusable ones might have a plum tint to them. But once it's dirty, you'll see it, covered in dust, grime, and bits of debris. When it looks like it's been through a sandstorm, it's time to swap it out. Replacement cost. Replacing your engine air filter won't cost you much, usually around $10 to $30 if you go with a regular paper one. Most cars make it easy to change, and you don't need any fancy tools or special know-how. If you're thinking long-term, reusable filters are an option too. They cost more, anywhere from $30 to $100, but you can clean and reuse them, which saves money down the road. As a rule of thumb, swap out the filter every 12,000 miles or once a year, whichever comes first. But if your car's showing any of the signs we talked about, don't wait. For the price, it's one of the easiest ways to keep your engine running smooth.